Hi everyone. On September 14th, the day of the exaltation of the precious and life-giving cross of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Holy Orthodox Church also celebrates the memory of a remarkable woman named Plakilla. Now Plakilla would become the wife of the Emperor Theodosius the Great. Theodosius himself was born in northwest Spain, and he ruled the empire from 379 until 395 AD. But yet, before he became emperor, he married Plakilla, and in fact they had 2 children at that point at the time of his coronation. Now, the rule of a queen at that time was based solely on the legitimacy of the king. And so Plakilla had no ruling power at that time, although later on in their marriage, Theodosius would grant her the title of Augusta, which had been done away with since right after the time of Constantine the Great, thereby indicating to the populace how great his love was for her and how much he trusted her. Now, Theodosius did indeed trust Plakilla because even from an early age, having been very bright and very intelligent, she was also extremely committed to the Orthodox faith, especially as it had been defined at the First Ecumenical Council in Nicaea. At the time, there were promptings from various Arian bishops petitioning Theodosius to get his ear. Now, Plakilla was someone who was not for this at all, and she continually cautioned her husband against entering into any kind of talks with them or giving them any ground, because she found paganism absolutely abominable and the Arian proclamations that were being given as disgusting. So she was someone who kept Theodosius, especially in the early years of the marriage, on the straight and narrow, so to speak. She was also one that completely disavowed any of the ranks and pomp and panoply that would normally go with the wife of an emperor. She herself was very much involved in charitable activities. She would go to places and help feed the poor and the hungry, and would help clean dishes and do all sorts of things without any sort of imperial guard around her at the time. It was said that she even tasted the food herself, which was unheard of back in those days, as a taster would always try to make sure that there was nothing ill-founded or poisonous in the food so that the monarchy would remain intact. But this is something that Plakilla just did not care about. She spent many, many days dressed simply, going through the streets of Constantinople, helping the poor, the maimed, anyone that she could, because she felt that this was truly her Christian duty to engage in these sorts of things. It was remarkable for any emperor at the time to do that, but let alone an empress who left unguarded could have been in much danger. Yet the populace absolutely loved her. When she left the city and came back, she was always greeted by thousands of people with great panoply, not because she was returning as an empress, but because she was simply her, and they loved her for what she was doing, absolutely disregarding all of the things that she could have had as an empress and entering into the way of humility. She was someone who was very intent on understanding the fact that God had given her this place, this rank in her life, and that she had to live up to it. She said many times that it was the duty of the empire to distribute the silver and gold to the poor to help make their lives better, because God had placed her as empress in a place where it was very important for her to be worthy of it by serving other people. She would often remind her husband, Theodosius, of that same sort of thing, saying to him, well, you must remember that God has placed you here, and he has placed you here for a reason. And so it's very important that you treat the people fairly and that you live the life according to Christ, because this is why you are where you are. An extraordinary woman indeed, someone who never spoke an ill word of anyone, who was always completely compassionate towards everyone, and who desired to be loved by her people only in exchange for the great love that she had for them. Finally, she did repose in the year 387 after having endured a terrible tragedy because her younger daughter, as mentioned earlier, Plakilla, who was only 7 years of age, reposed, and it sent the city into a shock. There was mourning everywhere. They were completely saddened by what happened. In fact, St. Gregory of Nyssa said that it was so intense that it seemed as if an earthquake had hit the city. But not long after that, the holy Empress Plakilla did indeed repose in peace and was given all due honors. After this, Theodosius, at that time being around 40 years old and already having the care now of the two remaining children, remarried because of a political marriage, needing to cement relations with another area of the empire, and he had 3 children along with this new wife of his. Yet, as St. Gregory also says, he had such tremendous love for Plakilla that even later in his older age, he would speak of her and would talk about all the wonderful things that she had done and that she had taught him, and really fiercely reminded him that it was important to remain in the Orthodox faith and to love the people. This love was tested, in fact, during the time of St. John Chrysostom, who was still in Antioch, when for some reason, ostensibly because of some unfair taxing purposes, the populace of Antioch pulled over a statue of Theodosius and of Plakilla. Theodosius was heartily angry about this, and he was ready to send troops into the town to punish them. But, as it turned out, at the Council of St. Ambrose of Milan and others, he was reminded of the love that his wife had for people and who had always encouraged him to be kind and forgiving towards them. And he felt that, well, my statue perhaps deserved to be pulled over, but certainly not hers, because she was so wonderful. And so he found it in his heart to forgive the populace of Antioch for this egregious disruption of life in the city and a personal insult to the emperor, which was a very punishable offense in those days, and let things lie as they were. Because of this, St. John Chrysostom even mentioned St. Plakilla, saying that who can even count the price of a virtuous woman? She is more precious than all silver and gold and rich jewels. Indeed, that is the way that the Holy Church has remembered her today, and how she has gone down in our memory, not only for her own virtues, but for the virtues that she taught the people that she was over, and especially keeping her own husband on the path to sanctity and sainthood, which he would eventually become. May God bless all of us through her prayers, and seek for all of us to emulate her in her virtues and in her love for him. Bye-bye.